In this tutorial, we're going to cover how to create a new sales order or edit an existing sales order. And you start by, on the main form here, you have two buttons. This one for a new sales order, and over here you can search for existing sales orders. Now you also have a third option down here, and this is a list of all open sales orders only for the person who logged in. It will not show your entire company. If you have multiple salespeople creating sales orders, it's not going to show everyone's, just the person who logged in. So in this list of open sales orders, all you have to do is simply double click one and it will open it up. And of course over here, this is a running total of all these open sales orders, so you'll know how much you have out there at any given time. So to open any one of these sales orders, just simply double click it and the sales order will open up in the sales order form. And do whatever you need to do, look at the products, changes, or whatever it is you need to do inside this order, you can take care of here. Now I'm going to go over real quick the opening screen here for a sales order. You have a button up here first. Now right now it's grayed out because this sales order has already been created, but when it first opens, you can check this box if you want to create a credit or a return. And then that way everything you enter in this sales order under the products and everything will be entered as a credit or a return. And then of course here, if this is going to be a cash order, you just simply check this box and it changes it to cash with COD. That will show up on the sales order, so that if it should go out to the shipping department, they'll know they need to collect a check, cash, credit card or something to pay for the order before it leaves. Let's take this back to what it was. Now these sales orders, you can search for a customer like all drop downs in Portal Pro just by simply starting to type. And of course, the more you type, the smaller the list gets. When you see it, you can use your arrow keys on your keyboard to scroll down to it and then hit the enter key, or just simply click on it and select it. And of course, this will load all the information that was saved for this customer under the customer button up here. Now, if this on the ship to information, it's the same thing. If in this case, apparently the job name or the ship to is the same as the customer, so you can just simply check this box and it will copy all this data directly over here for you automatically. You don't have to enter it twice. But if it is a different job site or location, just leave that unchecked. And again, go to the drop down, select the job that you want, and it will load it as needed. Now over here is the order information. The first one is a customer PO. Now, if a customer requires a PO on all sales orders, that can be set up when you create the customer over here. There is an option you can check that will, every time this customer is pulled up, it will automatically check this PO required box. And that way, a salesperson, if that box is checked, and they don't put a PO in here, if they try to save it, they'll get a box that the customer requires a PO. Enter a PO and try again. So they'll be forced to enter that customer PO before they can even save the order. And of course, here's the taxable information, if it's taxable, tax exempt, or whatever. And then, of course, this will be the tax ID if it is taxable. Whatever your default tax ID is set to, this will default to that. And the default is handled under administration, under right here, sales tax IDs. You select the tax ID that is your default tax ID and just simply select it and then check this box, use as default, and then save it. If your tax IDs does not show up in here, you can create it. Just fill in the tax vendor, what state it is you send your taxes to, a tax ID, it's just a maximum of 31 characters, but only if you're using QuickBooks. QuickBooks limits the number of characters. Then a description of that tax ID, and then the tax rate. And then down here you'll put whether or not it's taxable for freight or not. Okay, so that would be your tax percentage, and when you select that percentage, that will show up over here whenever tax is calculated. So you'll get a running total of all tax. Now here's your the printing options you have. Oh, I missed one. Date needed right here. If there's a particular date that this order is needed by, just type the date in, or you can check this little box and then click on the date, and that date will automatically be entered into the box. And over here is sales order printing. If you just want to view the sales order without printing it, make sure you check that box, then select which copy you want to view. So let's take a look at the customer copy first. We'll click Generate Order. And this is what the sales order will look like. So you see you have the order number, the date, sold to, shipped to, date needed here, date shipped, which hasn't been done yet, the customer PO, if there is one, the terms for this customer, how it's being shipped, and the salesperson, and then of course all the products. Now, one thing you're going to notice on this, see, this is a three-sided frame, which actually has components, but you don't see the components on the customer copy. If I were to, now this is if you're using components. If I look at the salesperson copy, generate the sales order, now you can see there's the frame, and it also shows the components. So the components only show up on, I believe it's the sales copy, office copy, and maybe even the ship to copy, or shop copy rather, because they'll need to know what components were used. Yep. And while I'm here, if you look at the last page, the shop copy does not have any pricing showing up on it, and it doesn't have a total either. So all that's left blank on shop copy. And the same is true for shipping copy. There are no totals. Now you have an option down here where you can show total only. If this box is checked, then whenever you view that copy of that order, it will only show the total. In other words, look at the customer copy. You can see now all the individual prices are left blank, but at the very end I do have a total. So that's another option you have for your sales orders. Okay, over here you have where you can copy this order to a new order. If you do, let's say, the same project over and over, maybe a restaurant for a particular contractor or something, and it's the same products over and over, and you ship them out the same, you can use this if you want to use a new date, or you can use the same date of the order. Either way, just fill it in accordingly. And again, if you need a new date, you can click that or just type it in. I guess I'll have to select one. And then I'll just click copy, and it'll make an exact copy of this entire sales order with products and everything onto a new sales order. And then you can go into that new sales order, and if necessary, make any changes needed for this new order, and then use it as the current order. Now down here is if a sales order is voided for any reason. You can void a sales order by checking that box, and it tells you to make sure that this is what you want to do. I'm going to go ahead and say no, but then you type in a reason down here. Okay, so that's the pretty much it for this order. I'll cover a couple other things here. Now, product information we'll cover under another tutorial, because that's pretty much the same if you're doing a sales order, an estimate, or a purchase order. This is a notes section. This is, again, something available on estimates, POs, and various things like that. We'll cover that in a different tutorial. And again, we'll cover this one too in a different tutorial, where you can globally change markups and discounts. Here we have order details. If I click on that, just some basic details on this order where you have the total cost, the freight in, and the total for the order, then the gross profit with the gross margin. And if this person was on a commission, which is established under administration and managed users, then whatever the current commission rate is that they get will show the amount of the commission. And of course this documents will cover in a different tutorial also. Alright, so that should pretty well cover it for one more thing down here. To invoice this sales order, and that would be when you're over here. We'll cover this in a different tutorial also. So we won't get into that part of this right now. Okay, so that should cover it. If you have any questions or concerns on this, please call or email. We're more than happy to help you out. Thanks and have a great day.